Amber Heard has long been a figure of fascination in Hollywood, not only for her film roles and advocacy work, but also for her high-profile relationships that have made countless headlines over the years. Her romantic life has been dissected, debated, and scrutinized by the media and public alike, largely due to the celebrity status of the men she has been linked with. From her tumultuous relationship and subsequent legal battles with Johnny Depp to her whirlwind romance with tech billionaire Elon Musk, Amber's personal life has often drawn as much attention as her work on screen. One of the earliest known relationships in Amber Heard's public life was with photographer Tajia Van Ree. The pair began dating around 2008, long before Amber would become a household name due to her acting or legal entanglements. This relationship, which lasted several years, was marked by its privacy relative to the scrutiny Amber would later endure. Yet even this chapter was not without controversy. In 2009, Heard was arrested for misdemeanor domestic violence after an altercation with Van Ree at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. However, Van Ree later released a statement defending Heard, attributing the incident to misinterpreted and over-sensationalized events by the authorities. She even accused the arresting officers of being motivated by homophobia, standing by Heard and denying any abuse. This incident remained relatively quiet until resurfacing during the media storm of Heard's divorce from Johnny Depp, which invited a fresh wave of public judgment and commentary. Amber's career was on the rise when she met Johnny Depp on the set of the 2011 film The Rum Diary. Their chemistry quickly evolved off-screen, and by 2012, following the end of Depp's long-term relationship with French singer Vanessa Paradis, Amber and Johnny began dating publicly. What followed was a whirlwind romance that culminated in their marriage in February 2015. At first, the union was celebrated in the media as a storybook pairing of two talented and strikingly beautiful individuals. However, behind the scenes, the marriage was reportedly fraught with volatility and deep conflict. The very public and painful unraveling of their marriage would come to define both of their careers for years to follow. In May 2016, just 15 months after tying the knot, Amber filed for divorce and sought a restraining order against Depp, alleging that he had been physically abusive throughout their relationship. Depp denied the allegations, and the situation escalated into a fierce legal and media battle. The divorce was finalized in 2017, with Heard receiving a $7 million settlement, which she claimed she would donate to charity. But this was only the beginning of the storm. What ensued was a series of lawsuits and countersuits, including Depp's defamation case against the Sun newspaper in the UK, which had called him a wife-beater. Depp lost that case, but he wasn't done. In 2019, he filed a $50 million defamation lawsuit against Heard in Virginia over an op-ed she wrote for The Washington Post, in which she identified herself as a survivor of domestic abuse. Though the op-ed did not name Depp, he claimed it had irreparably damaged his career and reputation. Heard responded with a $100 million countersuit, and the trial that followed in 2022 became a media spectacle watched across the world. Cameras in the courtroom, hours of testimony, and a deluge of social media discourse turned it into one of the most publicly dissected legal battles in celebrity history. The jury ultimately found that both Heard and Depp had defamed each other, but the verdict heavily favored Depp, awarding him more in damages. The fallout was seismic. Heard's image suffered immensely in the court of public opinion, even as she continued to maintain her stance on being a victim of abuse. Depp, meanwhile, experienced a partial career resurgence, with public sentiment swinging back in his favor. The midst of all this chaos, another significant chapter in Amber Heard's romantic life involved one of the most powerful men in the world, Elon Musk. Heard and Musk were first linked in 2016, shortly after her split from Depp. The two reportedly met years earlier on the set of Machete Kills, but their romantic relationship didn't take off until later. At first, their pairing seemed like a curiosity, an actress known for her roles in indie films, and a billionaire tech mogul with grand visions of colonizing Mars. But according to those close to them, the relationship was intense and deeply emotional. They dated on and off for a couple of years, even breaking up at one point in 2017 before reconciling again briefly. Musk would later describe their relationship as very hard, even saying in an interview that he was really in love with Heard and that the breakup hurt bad. Heard, for her part, also acknowledged the difficulty of the relationship and described it as a beautiful but short-lived connection. What made the relationship even more intriguing was the suggestion, raised during the Depp trial, that Musk had been seeing Heard while she was still married to Depp. Surveillance footage, text messages, and witness testimony hinted at this possibility, though Heard denied any wrongdoing. Musk largely stayed out of the legal fray, refusing to testify in the trial despite being subpoenaed, but his name came up numerous times in courtroom discussions, as Depp's team tried to paint a broader picture of Heard's alleged infidelity and deception. After her relationships with Depp and Musk ended, Heard seemed to retreat from the spotlight, at least romantically. She focused on her legal battles, career, and, most significantly, motherhood. In April 2021, Amber Heard announced the birth of her daughter, Oonagh Paige Heard, via surrogate. The news surprised many, as Heard had not publicly revealed any plans for parenthood, nor had she disclosed the identity of the child's biological father. She described the journey as one of her own making, saying she wanted to be a mother on her own terms. The name Oonagh Paige was a touching tribute to Heard's late mother, Paige, who had passed away in 2020. For a while, Heard maintained a low profile, focusing on raising her daughter and managing the storm that had engulfed her life. But in May 2025, another major life update emerged. Heard reportedly welcomed twins, a daughter named Agnes and a son named Ocean. This latest development added a new layer to Heard's already complex narrative. Again, there were no public details about the father, leading to speculation and intrigue. Whether by design or necessity, Amber has chosen to keep this aspect of her life remarkably private. What is clear, however, is her profound commitment to motherhood. In the rare glimpses she shares on social media, her love for her children shines through. Amber's journey through love and heartbreak has unfolded under an extraordinarily bright spotlight, making each decision and relationship a matter of public consumption. The court of public opinion has often been harsh, judging her not only for her choices in partners but also for her handling of the conflicts that followed. Her romance with Depp devolved into one of the most acrimonious splits in Hollywood history, while her relationship with Musk left a trail of emotional vulnerability and tabloid speculation. Throughout it all, Amber has continued to pursue her acting career, though the legal battles and public perception have undeniably impacted her opportunities. Her role as Mera in the DC Extended Universe was notably downplayed in the sequel to Aquaman, with debates raging online over whether she should be recast or retained. Despite petitions and fan campaigns, the studio ultimately kept her in the film, albeit with a significantly reduced screen time. While her love life has often overshadowed her work, it's worth remembering that Amber Heard is a complex individual beyond the headlines. She has been an outspoken advocate for domestic violence survivors and LGBTQ+ rights. Her decision to come forward with abuse allegations, regardless of the controversy and backlash, positioned her as a prominent, albeit polarizing voice in a global conversation about gender, power, and accountability. But with her latest personal milestone, the birth of twins Agnes and Ocean, Amber may be turning a new page in her life. These children, born in May 2025, signify not just a new beginning, but perhaps a step away from the drama and into a chapter of healing and renewal. Whether this move brings her long-term peace remains to be seen, but it certainly signals her intent to shape her own future, independent of the men who have defined her public story for so long. Her dating history, viewed from a distance, is more than just a list of high-profile partners. It is a reflection of a woman navigating fame, trauma, love, and motherhood under the microscope of relentless public attention. Johnny Depp and Elon Musk may be the most recognizable names in her romantic past, but they are only part of a broader, deeply human story. A story of resilience, mistakes, recovery, and the search for meaning in a world that often refuses to grant forgiveness easily. Now, with 3 young children and a quieter life in Spain, where she reportedly moved to escape, the limelight, Amber Heard, appears to be focusing on what matters most. Whether the world allows her the grace to move forward remains uncertain, but it is clear that she has chosen to live on her own terms, no longer defined by her past, but rather by the future she is building for herself and her children. Amber's move to Spain was not just a change of scenery. It was a deliberate attempt to reclaim her life and find a measure of peace in the aftermath of years spent in the crosshairs of public controversy. In the sun-drenched cities and quieter coastal enclaves of Spain, she has managed to find a sense of anonymity that she had long been denied in Los Angeles or New York. Here, she is no longer hounded by paparazzi at every turn or followed relentlessly by gossip columnists eager to mine her private life for salacious headlines. The slower pace of life and the cultural emphasis on family and privacy have provided her a kind of refuge, one that she may have desperately needed after the relentless scrutiny of her highly publicized court cases. Raising 3 children, including her firstborn daughter Oonagh and her recently welcomed twins, Agnes and Ocean, has undoubtedly redefined Amber's priorities. Motherhood has offered her both a grounding force and a fresh purpose, though she has kept the details surrounding the births of her twins private, choosing not to reveal the identity of the father or the nature of the arrangement. She has made it clear through her rare public statements and occasional social media glimpses that her children are at the heart of her world. These small, intimate snapshots into her life show moments of tenderness and joy, a child's hand in hers, early morning walks, quiet afternoons in the garden. They reflect a woman determined to give her children a life of stability, love, and safety, something she may not have always felt in her own adult life. Her decision to become a mother again, this time to twins, was not made lightly. It speaks to an inner resilience, a commitment to healing, and to embracing life despite all she has endured. Amber seems to be creating a sanctuary for her family, a space free from the noise of judgment and scandal. In Spain, she has taken on a new identity, not as a tabloid figure or embattled actress, but as a devoted mother crafting a new narrative for herself and her children. This chapter is not about retaliation or vindication. It's about growth, quiet strength, and the soft rebuilding of a life that was for a time in pieces. It's a future she's chosen to shape away from the camera flash and courtrooms, in a place where laughter and lullabies replace headlines and hashtags. For Amber Heard, this may finally be the beginning of something whole.